welcome to those of you joining us for this very special edition of Under the Hood for the Lumery. My name is Mel and I'm the Director of Organisational Development here at the Lumery. You might have seen a few of our other episodes in this series. Today I am joined by Chris and Kate, two of our looms, and I'm going to get each of them to introduce themselves in a sec. The topic for today's episode is I really wanted to talk to these two because they've been in the business for a while. We've had a huge growth journey in the last kind of 6 to 12 months. So we've got lots of newbies in the business, which is amazing. But like with any company that's only relatively young, we're 6 years old, we're going on this really great kind of evolution. So I wanted to pick the brains of Kate and Chris in terms of what that journey's kind of been like. And I want us to have a really open discussion about what's good, what's bad, about being in a scale up, what we love, what's challenging, what we're still working on, because no business obviously is perfect. So Kate, introduce yourself.
Thanks, Mel. Hi, everyone. My name is Kate Cook. I'm the Head of Analytics here at the Lumery, leading our fabulous and very brilliant analytics chapter and craft team to unearth company, customer, and campaign insights that help our clients make their next best decisions. Yeah, that's me.
And if you haven't subscribed, Kate runs a brilliant newsletter as well. Kate, give it a plug. Go on.
Attribution gal. So yeah, I very heavily am quite passionate about this specific topic. I was attribution gal even before the Lumery. I think it's actually part of the reason I landed here. The Lumery were looking at building out their attribution and insights function. And yeah, they gave me a call and said, hey, you seem to be really passionate about this. Help us build this kind of part of our company. So yeah, I love that. Thanks, Mel.
That's awesome. I'm a subscriber. Chris, are you a subscriber?
I think I was subscriber number 1, surely, of the new iteration. So definitely. Definitely. I actually read Kate's one as well, which is nice.
Yeah, amazing. I can see it. I check the analytics, so I know that you read it.
Yeah.
Can you tell like if I read it? Like, can you actually tell like who's reading it?
I can see there are some people that open it multiple times, so their open rate is over 100%. And some people I can see have clearly forwarded it to their teams because it's like 15 people will open it. I'm like, nah, that one worked. That was a good one.
Oh, that's awesome, Kate. Chris, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Pearce. I am a senior strategist here at the Lumery. I've been at the Lumery for coming up on 2 years now. Similar to Kate, I'm part of the wonderful and amazing strategy chapter here at the Lumery, working across a lot of different clients and helping businesses to solve business and customer problems pretty much. So the different shapes and forms that take can vary, but yeah, we've got a really good group of professionals here, which I love just vibing with and bouncing ideas off and trying to solve those prickly problems for customers.
That's
so
cool.
Yeah.
If you were going to have a newsletter, Chris, what would it be called?
My newsletter would be the different pathways to value. There you go.
Oh, the different pathways to value with Chris Pearce.
Yeah. Look out for it in your inbox. Never.
I'll be subscriber number 1 if you give me a heads up.
I've got so much awe for Kate. Like the level of dedication and time it takes to deliver something like that on top of your day-to-day job is just not something I can get around. I'm sorry.
It's always a lot of fun until the day that you have writer's block, and then it's really hard. But it's a nice effort to kind of force yourself to push through.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. All right, so I scribbled down a few questions for you two, and let's just kind of see where our convo goes. So, Chris, you've been here nearly 2 years. Kate, you've been just a year and how much?
I want to say almost 2 years exactly.
Yeah,
about the same time.
Yeah, okay. I think Kate, amazing. Did you start just before me?
I think so.
Yeah, just before me, I think it was. Yeah.
June 17th. Yeah. Am I supposed to remember the date? I don't remember that my Loom anniversary. Okay, so just
2-year anniversaries, you two. That's cool. Okay. So the business was, 4-ish years old when you two started. We now just had our 6th birthday. So you've been here for, 33% of the life of the Lumery. What was it like when you started? What are some things that you can look back and go, you know, this was great and it's changed and it's a bummer, or this was, you know, not great and it's changed and that's amazing? Like, what have been some of the things you've noticed in the last 2 years from where it started when you were here, when you were first here?
Oh, hey, Cook, what do you reckon?
Oh man, I think one of the things that hasn't changed is, I think, like the passion and enthusiasm that we've all sort of had, and the curiosity. But what has certainly changed is the clarity and the focus that we have on the direction that we're taking, both in market and the value that we offer our customers. I think when I first arrived here, especially, you know, we, as I sort of said, we were sort of building out that insights and attribution function even more than what we had done previously. We'd always had analytics, but we wanted to see where we could take it. We tried a lot, and we were still trying a lot to work out, you know, what were the consistent customer problems that we saw, and, you know, where were we adding value in among our competitors and in the market, that kind of really creates a Lumery edge. And I think 2 years on, when I look back at where we were 2 years ago and now, I think we've got a lot more focus on exactly what that is. We've got kind of repeatable problems, and therefore a bit more rigor and processes around the delivery of that stuff too.
Yeah, I've got a follow-up question for you, Kate, and then Christy, let's go to you. So I've been around the business for years now. I've only been like officially employed here for a year, but as you guys know, was consulting for the business before I joined. So I've been around since about year 2, right? So my expectation and mindset has always been, oh, we're building, we've got so much to do, we're experimenting, we're trying this, we're trying that. So when things kind of fall over or they don't work, my mindset's always like, cool, that's right, we're still doing this and that and building, blah, blah. Do you think, like, expectation wise, like sometimes I think people join us and are kind of like, whoa, there's too much change and there's too much growing and there's too much for me. Whereas other people come in, and if they've kind of got more of a mindset like I do, they tend to go, of course we haven't got everything solved. Or like, what do you, like, the word expectations is kind of rattling around in my head. What do you think in terms of, like, I know, I think my sound might be a bit funny. Is my sound funny? Or it's okay. What do you think about, like, what expectations did you come in with, and has it like paid off for you or not paid off for you? Yeah, what do you think?
That's a really interesting one, and I don't know if I would have the same perspective as maybe everyone, because previous to the Lumery, I was running my own kind of small business consultancy, and I knew what I was walking into. Like, the view was, and my role was, we don't have it all figured out. We need to go and throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, see what works, figure it out quickly, and keep moving. Fail a bit, learn a bit, and do better over time. So I guess my expectation was that it was going to be messy, and that my job was to bring rigor to it. So I like that. I believe I've definitely contributed to part of that, and that was clearly the expectation that I had walking in, and the journey that absolutely I had. And I think it's been nice to see that that's been echoed across all the chapters. It's not just, you know, where I've been working, but every part of our business seems to have gone through the same journey.
Chris?
Me. I, similar to you, Mel, have been exposed to the Lumery for a lot longer than I have been working here. So I was a client for 2 years. So I kind of knew what I was getting into a little bit. But I guess the big things that really stood out to me was, like, obviously most of my career has been client side, and so you hear of like consultancy agency life a little bit, and you're like, okay, cool, what am I signing up for? Am I going to be doing 80-hour weeks, like that kind of stuff? And it was a nice surprise to see a commitment to not allowing that happening in a business like this, which was quite cool. So I think that was something that I kind of expected that didn't actually happen. So I kind of geared myself up for that, being a bit like, oh, you know, I know the world that I'm getting into. I know that maybe this is going to be the expectation. And it was nice that that's not the expectation.
That's good.
I think as well, similar to what Kate was saying, I think when I joined, it was maybe a lot more kind of, I don't want to say free flowing, because I don't think that's the right word for it, but like in the sense of there wasn't as much structure to it, which was great in one regard, because what it did was it allowed people to really spread their wings and go after things, and that kind of, to your point, that experimentation mindset, and give it a go, and if it doesn't work, that's fine. But that's not like, I guess that's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's to your point before, Mel. Like when you're a startup, you kind of have to operate like that. But then in the level that we're in now, which is a bit more scale up, you're starting to see that sort of, I don't want to say rigor because I hate that word, but like processes and like things in place where it gives you those kind of guardrails to be like, this is where you are and this is how you do it, but like not in a restricted way. And that's why I don't like rigor, because I feel like it makes it sound like you're in a box. It's more in the sense of like, hey, you still have that freedom to go out and try new things. But we've also got some more guardrails in place that kind of help solve those more like unknowns, I guess, in the business, which is nice. Yeah.
It's almost like we reestablish the baseline from which to jump from, and then we encourage, and yeah, to your point, it's definitely not about establishing a box. We kind of encourage the consistent iteration and improvement of everything that we do. So now we've kind of got something where we can be like, this is what this work looks like. These are all of the processes that we've used in the past. And if you want to challenge it, improve it, go one further, you've got the freedom to still to do that. So it's kind of like you've got a softer place to fall now, which is nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. One of the things people really talk about when they first start here is like things they've heard and what they're excited about is like what you're saying, Chris. They're like keen to work in a consultancy and live consultancy life, because there's so much good stuff about that. Like I love that kind of life. I love that kind of world myself, but they don't want to sign up for, absolutely no work-life quality either. So often that is feedback we get. People are like, from what I've heard, you've got the best of the best here and you do amazing stuff with phenomenal clients, but I'm not going to have to give my soul to do it. So I think that's good. Like, I think we, Kate, you and I have spoken about this a fair bit. There's ups and downs, right? Like there's some weeks that are pretty hectic and other weeks it's a bit kind of less hectic. But yeah, like overall our commitment to like actual well-being, I mean, I hope that that should shine through for pretty much everyone. I remember, Kate, you and I talking about how I'll duck off for a surf, and I love, like I say that as if I can actually surf. Let me rephrase it. I duck off to attempt to stand on my surfboard in freezing Tasmanian waters, like in the middle of the day, over lunch, and then come back and smash out work in the afternoon. And it's like, that's cool. There's people in the team that'll go for a run in the middle of the day, or, there's flexibility around for those with caregiving responsibilities, blah, blah, blah. So what do you guys think in terms of like things that have changed that people that were here back at the start might be like, oh, that's a bummer. That's a bummer that's changed, but it's kind of the way it is. Like, is there anything that we've kind of lost that was always going to happen as we grew and changed, but it's kind of just a bit like, oh, I miss, the good old days kind of thing that people might talk about?
I don't know that I can think of anything.
I think the only thing that comes to mind is especially during that COVID period, right? Because we lacked a lot of face-to-face, we would have, and I was in a satellite office at the time. I was in Brisbane for about a year before I decided to move down, because I wanted that kind of more face-to-face time with key members of the team who were based in Melbourne. But we used to have a lot of we had a weekly wrap at that point, which again, like kind of can make sense when you're balancing your own schedules and there's fewer people in the business and you don't have as many internal needs and kind of collaborative discussions that are required. We kind of could afford to spend that time doing that. Now we do still have time that we have dedicated to catch up and get together in person, sometimes with the whole business, and other times just monthly. But that's something that I guess has changed from, startup kind of to scale up.
Yeah. Yep, I reckon that's the thing I miss the most. Even just in the last year, we just had, when we were smaller and less dispersed, it was cheaper and easier to bring us all together, so we could just do it quite a lot. I'm really proud that we still commit to getting us all together, which is amazing given we've got people all over Australia and our team all over India. So I think it's really cool that we do invest in that because we think it's so powerful and we love it. But that would be my only thing. It's just like hanging out with people. Chris, I remember you and I talking about it ages ago. It's like, I think you said something like, oh, how good would it be if we each had a budget to like no reason to be in Sydney other than just hanging out with the Sydney team? And I'm like, that's the only thing I just a bit more FaceTime.
Yeah, I think that's probably actually a good one, to be honest. Like I would say a lot of I wouldn't classify myself or Kate as OG crew, but that, you know, the really old school Lumery was very much like you're in the office. And I remember getting exposure to it when I was a client coming down to Melbourne. It's like, you know, the whole Greek gang is in the office every day. Or even in Sydney, you know, they were all in the office and it was in Chatswood every day. So that kind of that level. But I think, yeah, maybe some of the people miss it, but then also like it's the world's changed a little bit. I think most people, particularly when you're recruiting, would like scoff at the idea of 5 days in an office now. So
I saw one of the banks doing the big callback, everyone back to the office, and I was thinking about it while I was brushing my teeth this morning. I'm just like, I'm pretty sure I know my position on that, but I can also understand why it's becoming a thing. But but
I think the good thing about the Lumery is you have that option. If you're a person that likes being in the office and wants to be there every day, like we have people that are like that go in pretty much every day because that's where they want to be. And then there's others who want to go in a couple of days a week, and then there's others who we've got who are not interested in stepping into an office ever, and they've made that really clear, but they're still a really important part of the Lumery. So
and to that point, and even I guess that kind of hybrid nature of being able to choose what you want, and our earlier point about those times to have like face-to-face and that kind of bonding. I was in the office earlier this week. Haven't been in every day, have spent a couple of days at home because I need to get some focus work done, but I went in one day and we had like an impromptu Raj's Tavern because Raj happened to be in the office, and so we all kind of, you know, went around the boardroom table. I think everyone kind of made sure that they clocked off on time and we all had a drink and a chat, and it's just far more impromptu now. It's kind of those ceremonies aren't as defined as maybe they were at some point, whether kind of, I guess, OG crew, maybe it wasn't like we're definitely doing Friday night drinks, but it just seemed to happen, versus then during COVID, it was really quite, you know, we made a dedicated ceremony of it. And now it's just kind of whenever people are together and they want to connect, they do.
I think that's interesting, right? When we first trialed summer hours and that turned into short weeks where for anyone watching, we've finished the goal, and it's not perfect. We don't get it every time, but this is the standard we're aiming for as much as we can. We all finish internal meetings 1 o'clock Australian time, and then we knock off at 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. So half day on a Friday, essentially. And it was really interesting going through the feedback because it's like, how phenomenal. Long weekend, you can duck off and go camping, or, you know, a lot of people do use that time to do life admin so that their weekend is actually free. Like that's a cool use of it as well, I think. But it was interesting because it's like, well, historically that Friday afternoon time used to be the kind of bonding and coming together for a drink. And it's like we're choosing to actually make that kind of more focused on rest and well-being and recharging. And still, absolutely, if I'm in the office in Melbourne on a Friday, there'll be people that are there, finish, have a drink. But yeah, it's definitely different to where it used to be, like, from what I can tell, because this was pre-me as well. It's like we're all knocking off. We've had a huge week. We can sit around the couches. And so, yeah, I think
that's awesome. And it's also a kind of like COVID has really reshaped our priorities, I think, as people. And so, you know, like the fact that we have that 3 o'clock on a Friday finish time, and like, sure, you used to maybe go to the pub or whatever with your workmates afterwards, like, you can still choose to let that have, but like a lot more people are prioritizing, you know, spending more time with their family, or like to your point, getting stuff done so that in the weekend that they would have normally spent the weekend. So like it doesn't stop. I think, you know, you still catch up, but it's just maybe not that Friday anymore. Maybe it's like a coffee catch up on a Tuesday morning, or, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What do you do with your short weeks, Chris? I know I'm not supposed to ask questions, Mel. Sorry.
No. What's my next question?
It very much depends. I try and go and play golf because my partner doesn't finish till 5, so she's working. So that's a nice 2-hour thing where I can go and do it, and I'm not like it's not time I could have been spending with her, or I go to the gym, or yeah, I do like admin. So I might take the dog for a walk if we're going out that night. So give her a really good Maple good walk around.
Does Maple know that you call her life admin? Does she?
She does actually. It's not what I normally call her, but it's not PC for the video. So
What do
about
you
you,
do?
Kate?
Yeah, what are your Fridays involved?
My Friday afternoons I usually spend doing kind of research or like newsletter kind of stuff. So I do a lot of like supporting of like other organizations. She Loves Data. I'm doing a bit of module work with to sort of support women that are wanting to get into the data space. So I spend that time as like still stuff that's kind of while I'm in that work brain, but it's extracurricular kind of work stuff that I'm passionate about.
That's cool.
And then my weekends are free for not kids, but husband, who sometimes feels the same way.
Free to do whatever you like. That's good. That's good. I think from what we can tell as well, people take it. People take short weeks. People do knock off, which is awesome, because if it was like, hey, you all have short weeks, but actually everyone was just working, then everyone would be like, oh, I can't really take a short week. So I think, yeah, there's always ups and downs, but from what I can tell, people are pretty good at like respecting it and respecting themselves and taking that time, which is cool.
I would say I definitely take it every week. I'm available. Like, so if even if I'm playing golf, I've got my phone with me. So if someone really needs to get hold of me, they can. But like, yeah. I make sure I take it every week.
It's good. I'm just looking at my calendar. I've got it blocked out. It's like, do not book. And Kate, I know like you and I had a chat after sort of short weeks hours. It started a few weeks ago, but you're on your way to something. I'm on my way to something. So we're having a quick sort of end of week debrief. So it's kind of still work, but it's also just like, let's have a good old gas bag on your way to something. No one's expecting you to be bound to Teams. And so no, I think it's good. All right, last question. Going forward, what do you think, like, what are you excited about for the business with all the, you know, as we continue to evolve and grow, and we're right on the cusp of next fin year? Is there anything in particular you guys are really looking forward to for kind of the next year or two at TL?
Okay.
Yeah,
there you go.
No, I was going to say there shouldn't be such a long pause for this.
I mean, I'm going to be a bit geeky about this, but I feel like, you know, we are still like, we're a marketing and technology consultancy. Obviously, everyone, like AI is on the tip of everyone's lips. And I think we really are at like a bit of a frontier of everything being about to change from what it's like, it's the new version of the internet, or like when we all got kind of mobile phones, which are now additional appendages on every one of our hands. We can't imagine our lives without them. And I think we're at that point, and it's going to massively change what we do, how we service clients, and everything that we knew. And I'm pumped. I'm also like, if I'm really honest, a little bit apprehensive, not about embracing the technology. I'm all about that, but like, it's going to be a learning curve to get up to speed quickly, and then to be the consultants that we are to support everyone else to do it. So I think it's going to be a wild ride.
I was trying to explain ChatGPT to my parents the other day and didn't do a good job of explaining it. Then I was like, okay, give me a problem. They're naming their new Airbnb at the moment. So I was like, all right, I will solve this for you right now. And yeah, they were just like, oh, wow. I'm like, oh yeah, this is, you know, the start of it. It's exciting.
You could ask ChatGPT to be like, ChatGPT, explain what you are like I'm 5. I do use that all the time.
I did that. I was like, in layman's terms, what are you? It's like, well, let me tell you. I use ChatGPT so many times. I reckon 10 times a day I would be on there getting something. Yeah. Chris?
Mine's lame, but I actually just really like what I do, and really enjoy the people that I work with. So, I mean, the thing that I'm looking forward to is just continuing to do that. And I know that's
Yeah.
a bit of a lame thing, but yeah, I mean, to Kate's point, things move really quickly in our industry, and staying on top of stuff is really important. But like when you're
Mm.
surrounded by the people that we're surrounded by, I don't actually see that as that difficult. Like we've got some incredible people working here, and you
Mm.
can basically call on any of them at any time within reason to be like, hey, there's this new thing in this platform that I don't know about. Can you explain it to me? And
Yeah.
your Vals or your Phils or whoever or your Kates will take the time and explain it to you. So yeah, I'm just excited to keep going.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Any final words about life at TL over the last 2 years?
Come work here.
Come work here. Absolutely. This is a cool place to be. Come work with us. So yeah, that I actually think that's an impressive part of our culture, is that we have not, from what I can tell, not being deep within the crafts, we haven't ended up with this like territorial warfare of like, but that's my patch and that's my, I think that's pretty impressive, because that kind of thing, when you've got experts, can happen pretty fast.
I would say that it's very surprising the absolute lack of dickheads in this business, considering how we operate.
It's
in the
true,
sense
but
that,
also
like,
the recruitment team must be phenomenal, Chris.
yes,
right?
they are. But like to your point, like we have some very high, like some people I sit in meetings rooms with, I'm just like, you're so smart, it's insane. And like a lot of the time, those people are dickheads, but they're not here. Just and I'm not just saying that, like, yeah.
It's
But
true.
you know what's funny? Like we have such a culture of like belonging, and we are also strong in our values that like dickheads wouldn't survive here. Like we would flush them out. We would be like, sorry, you don't belong here. We're all about like supporting each other to do better and to learn more.
Yeah.
you can't act like that here.
And I mean, you guys, it's been a while since you were recruited, right? The various ways you two came in, but like it is a rigorous recruitment process, right? And we're looking at all sorts of different data, but we are constantly looking at like casual data points. How are candidates treating our associates who do their cultural interview? How are they treating like their language around who they know in the business? Like you get such phenomenal clues about how people act and their values and how they treat others. And we've made some what on paper might seem like hard calls in the past that are actually pretty easy. Someone who is amazing, genius, would be great, but because of some casual data points about their kind of style, we're just like, we're not going to even go there. So I think that's a cool thing that we do, is that we don't there's inclusion, but not like there's, you know.
Did you have to do any of that, Kate? I'm so glad I didn't, because I would have never got the job. Mel would have been like, cross this guy out, like, see you later.
Hey.
How did you get in, Chris? Who hired you?
I went through like a proper interview process, but Ben reached out to me about a role, put me in touch with Em, who's not only my boss but a very good friend of mine now, and her, Darshna and Raj interviewed me, so I had to put together like a full strategic presentation, like the whole 9 yards. So like, even though I had a fairly strong relationship with a lot of people here, it wasn't just like here's a job, like still to prove myself.
Yeah, I had to have the Raj interview too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's not scary. He's like the
No,
least
I know.
scary.
I know. It was so lovely. It was totally fine.
Thank you both for the chat. For those of you that have watched the full episode, you'll probably notice a few edited out bits. If you want to know what was in those bits, come and join us. We will have a piccolo. I don't know. What do you drink coffee-wise? Kate, what's your coffee choice?
A small, skinny 3/4 flat white. I have become that person.
We will have a small 3/4 skinny flat white, a large oat flat white, and a what, Chris?
I've actually become this person recently also, a 3/4 full oat milk flat white.
Oh gosh, you win. I'm like, my coffee order is really boring. So if you want to know the bits that were edited out and come and hang out with us and find out even more under the hood, then you know where to find us. And thank you both, and enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Your team.